Hi. Hello, hello. How we all doing tonight, chat? I've got guest tonight, Boggle the Wonk. He's been on a couple videos and he's in the community. So, hey Boggle, you wanna introduce yourself?
Did you just introduce me like I'm a Sonic character,
Did
Boggle
I?
the Wonk?
I totally did. They're very excited to see a white boy on this show because obviously the only reason somebody would ever watch my channel is if I had a white boy on it, as we all know. You're just being tokenized, I'm afraid.
There are worse things.
All right. So, I'm a fan of Dexter. Um I've watched it a lot. Probably 3 or 4 times the entire way through um over the years. What's your experience with the show?
My first experience with the show was, I want to say 2015, 2016.
Mhm.
My dad bought this Amazon Firebox, and his buddy taught him how to jailbreak it.
Amazing.
So we were just watching pirated Dexter for a while, and I barely remember it.
Mhm.
I remember my dad stopped watching, and his reason was, am I allowed to do spoilers?
Yeah, spoiler warning for a show that's like 20 years old.
My dad stopped watching because he said it wasn't interesting anymore when they killed the wife.
Yeah.
I but I just didn't think about it for years, and then I saw you were watching it, and I said, "Oh, I got nothing to do at work. I'll read the book." And the book sucks. And then
Yeah.
I watched the show.
And the
And
show
the
is much
show is
better.
good.
Yeah, Jeff no, Jim Lindsay. Yes. Anyway, he's an interesting fellow, I think. I think that the book is a lot less compelling because it's like, oh, demon did it. Okay, well, um not
The
only
book
that.
feels like a creepypasta. It feels like a
Mhm.
12-year-old writing about Jeff the Killer.
Mhm. And like his narrative voice is really obnoxious, and also he hates there's like this contempt for women. Uh I find in his writing, and he's kind of like racist in an uncomfortable way. I don't think he's like, I fucking hate Cubans and Mexicans, but
He's really fucking weird about Latin women.
yeah, he is. He is. I mean, like, he's also kind of weird about the character Angel too. He kind of
Yeah,
makes him out to be a certain type of way. I think the show improved on that a lot. There are still some like, it is a show from 2003, but
yeah, my reading of it was Jeff Lindsay thinks he gets it, but
mhm.
he doesn't get it.
It's like the same kind of, how do I say this? It's the kind of racism and sexism that people accuse Stephen King of, but like worse than Stephen King.
Because this feels slightly mean. King feels
Yeah. Yeah,
oblivious.
King's just kind of ignorant. Lindsay feels a little, yeah. Like if he was like a couple decades younger, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like a 4chan user.
Yeah. Yeah.
um Michael C. Hall, however, really humanized the character, I think, in ways that Jeff Lindsay. It is Jeff, right? Is it Jeff or Jim?
Jeff
I all
Lindsay.
Yeah, okay, because oddly enough, Dexter Morgan in the show uses a name similar to the author as a pseudonym for a little while, but it's Jim, not Jeff. But yes. Anyway, So today we're gonna watch some slop. Are you excited, Boggle?
Yes, very excited.
So Boggle showed me this channel. This is the second channel of Mr. Phantom Savage. He has a bigger channel, which
First of all, let me start by
shut up. Which is just a bunch of like animations and skits that have been slowly failing over the last few years. And so he's trying his hand at video essays slash power scaling, I guess. It's basically fan fiction. So we're gonna watch one of these.
Yeah, if I could just interject really quick.
Yeah.
If there are any aspiring YouTubers in the audience, if your channel currently looks like this, or you're planning to have it look like this, just this banner, this profile picture, this gives off a bad energy. It makes at least me personally not want to subscribe, because I don't trust the level of professionalism on display here.
This guy's main channel, hold on, let me just bring it up again. This guy's main channel, 1.02 million subscribers with 2,000 videos. And he's been doing animation for 16 years, dubbing comics. Currently on his main channel, he ain't doing so good. For someone that has over 1 million subs. If we go back, let's see. Yeah, we're getting like 5,000, 9,000. Sometimes he'll pop up, but like he's been circling the drain for a little while. Here's 278,000, but like, you know, hit or miss, but he's been, yeah, circling the drain a little bit for the past few years. And that's, I think, probably partially due to this kind of content not being pushed by the algorithm anymore. So, like, I can respect a man that, you know, pivots and tries to remake himself, but he this is what he has to show for it. We've got 183,000 in the first one, and then 73,000, and then 45,000. So it's been in decline. And I think he has a bunch of shorts that are just clipped of it. And those, almost all of them have under 10,000 views. So we have, this one broke 10,000 with 12. And then this one got 11. The RoboCop one. Oh my god, that's so stupid. I hate power scalers. If you're a power scaler. I don't know. And then that one got 12. So I feel like what this is that he was jumping on the trend of Dexter. Dexter kind of started popping off again after like that Dokes meme started going around. But yeah. Anyway. Shall we get started on the first video? You ready, Boggle?
Just fucking punch me in the mouth. Let's go.
All right, perfect.
First of all, let me start by saying I realize I'm not the first person to do something like this. I'm sure these videos are fine. I don't know. I've avoided.
I cannot hear a thing.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure that I'm streaming my audio. He's not saying anything. He's just, you know. Share stream audio.
On this topic, but
Can
the
you hear
idea
it?
for this video
No.
actually came from this classic meme of a chart, and the idea that instead of the Kira case from Death Note, each of these detectives.
All right, let me see. Sorry, folks. Doing some. Why would it not stream? You know what? Let me see. if yeah, let's try this. I'll just switch for you to the yeah.
Were instead
Can you hear it
given
now?
the case of
Oh,
the
yeah,
Bay
there we
Harbor
go.
Butcher. I have always been a pretty big
Okay.
Dexter fan. I've watched all 8 seasons of the original show like 4 times. I've seen
Oh,
what
like
could be
me.
called the 9th season at least twice. I'm very much enjoying the new prequel show, and I've also recently started listening to the audiobooks, one of which I've already finished, so I feel fairly knowledgeable about Dexter, his story, and his thought process to a point
I'll be
I
the
think
judge
I
of
can
that.
safely answer
Let's
how
see.
he'd handle or not handle just about any detective in fiction you can imagine.
Okay, let's
Many of
pause
which I also
here.
find
Yeah, let's see. We've got Columbo. I don't
Uh,
know who the second guy is.
That's the Nardwar guy.
And that's the guy from that one, like Harry or whatever from that one thing.
Okay, so first off, Columbo solos, no diff. Or low diff, or however the power scalers say this.
Who's Batman? Batman. Jesus. Oh boy, Courage. Courage the Cowardly Dog. We've got Persona characters. We got Steve from Blue's Clues. We've got Detective Pikachu. We've got Miss Marple. Oh my goodness. We've got the Detroit Become Human boys. We got the fucking Max and what's his name? I never remember. The dog and the bunny. Phoenix.
You know what? That's even funnier. I'm pretty sure like half of these don't show up in the video.
Hold on. The Phoenix Wright characters are lawyers. They're not fucking detective. They're not detectives. Where am I? I hate this. We've got Ghost in the Shell. We've got Veronica Mars. Oh my god.
Magnum PI.
Oh boy. I'm gonna.
Why are the men in black here?
Oh my god. Why are Mulder and Scully here?
I'm telling you, Scully, the Bay Harbor Butcher is aliens.
He's a fucking skinwalker or something, I swear it. Oh god. Monk? I mean, I guess that's kind of reasonable.
That's a Danganronpa character.
There are Danganronpa and Persona characters here.
These are just baffling. But there is a Kamen Rider here.
Of course you're excited about the Kamen Rider.
Listen, it's the Kamen Rider where two little twinks fuse together.
Wait a minute! That's a fucking...
That's Professor Layton!
Professor Layton!
These are baffling.
Okay.
I understand putting in some funny ones, but I'd have most of them be at least somewhat thematically resonant with Dexter.
See, I've been thinking, because I started rewatching Bones after I finished Dexter, and I'm like, I wish that Temperance Brennan and Dexter Morgan met. I think that would be interesting. I'm not really so concerned about like who would win. It's more about like the autism in the room. I think it would result in nuclear reaction. You know what I mean?
I think it would make Dokes' head explode.
Dokes would not like Brennan.
No.
I feel like Dokes and Booth would get into a fist fight.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking Dokes would be like, okay, we got our creepy blood guy, and now we've got the creepy skeleton lady.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Still fairly knowledgeable because, in case you couldn't guess, I really like mystery and crime stories. To this effect, I've narrowed down almost every possible outcome into one of 5 categories.
Oh my god.
Dexter kills them, they kill Dexter, Dexter gets arrested, Dexter gets away, or they get framed as the Bay
It's
Harbor
a political
Butcher.
compass.
You know, sometimes Dexter Where is they probably get along to some extent. Why is it like a win-lose scenario? Dexter makes friends that know who. Okay, whatever.
I guess Dexter Gets Away would be covered under that, but it's so...
to research all the detectives from the original Death Note chart, but I did know or at least research most of them, doing my best to touch on as many genres of
I get it. He's hoping, because that was a trend a while ago, it was like, who would catch Kira? That was a trend, so he's trying to start this trend. Oh, okay, I understand.
I am of the opinion that almost anybody could catch light given enough time.
Scooby Gang. Okay, I need to relax.
Some of these are supposed to be funny.
Okay.
Bothered with. I've replaced or added some characters of my own that I felt were either sorely missing or part of the world's best.
That's John Wick.
But okay,
Agent 47.
I'm not as familiar with Agent 47, but John Wick and the Punisher would get along with Dexter. They'd be friends. Just like they all have similar, and Dexter doesn't just like if Dexter has come across characters that have similar thinking patterns towards him and is sympathetic towards them, and often gets close to them. In the case of women, he's tried to date them. So I'd simply make Dexter fall in love with me. Exactly.
Agent 47 is just a contract killer. He would not give a shit about Dexter.
Yeah, if he was hired to kill him, maybe he'd go after him. But also, and we're going to get into this later, but I just would like to point out that especially in the early seasons, like seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are the best seasons of Dexter, and I think that, like, after season 4, it kind of goes downhill. It's not just because the wife died, because I think she dies in season 3. I think the season after she dies is also fine. Like, the season with Lumen is okay. But Dexter doesn't take unnecessary risks. You know, he if he thinks that going after somebody would be more dangerous to him than is worth it, he won't go after them. That's why he vets people. It's not just, oh, this person is someone that's worthy of being killed by me. He's somebody that I have access to. And if I went after him, I would with 100% certainty be able to get him. So that's something that I want to point out before we get too far into it.
I kind of wish the guy from Department Q was on here just so we could have a little yummy snack.
I fucking love that show. Anyway. It looks like we're getting into the first of it, so...
Or just some characters in general that I thought would be uniquely suited to this Dexter scenario in particular. And speaking of the scenario... Despite 8 seasons and now at least 3 or 4 consecutive spin-off shows years later, for the vast majority of Dexter's life, his infamous Bay Harbor Butcher moniker was pinned on the late James Dokes. Aside from a handful of occasions where some of Dexter's own colleagues got enough of a bad vibe to give him a closer look, to no success, there's no reason why almost any detective on this list would investigate Dexter in particular. He's just some lab geek with a seemingly normal, mundane life. Dexter has gone out of his way to make himself seem like the human equivalent of wheat bran.
You see, learning even more about hemoglobin dispersion and the magnetic effects of lightning in the case of severe thunderstorms could prove invaluable because it can all be considered causal in the determination of bloodstain analysis.
I'm sorry, but that man is so autistic.
Yeah, that man has autism.
Yeah. How do I be normal? It's the same thing with Light Yagami, where it's like, how do I be normal? I have to date a woman. and have hobbies and eat food sometimes.
I must sit here and just stare at pornography.
I mean, like, Dexter has actually done shit like that before, where he has gone undercover posing as like a rent boy or like looking for like hookups and stuff. So
There is a conversation in that the general public's idea of a psychopath is in some way an autistic person.
I don't know if that's okay. So I made a
I think
video.
it's a coincidence, but it's interesting.
I don't think it's a coincidence. Okay, so I made a video last week. If you haven't watched it yet, it's on my channel. Make sure you watch it after the stream's over. And I talked with Dexter. And I think that like we're getting things backwards a little bit, because what I think is happening is that they're using being a serial killer as a metaphor for being different. You know what I mean? And how do I say this? I think that, and this is a sentiment that I kind of communicate, is like, if you feel different from other people around you, sometimes the things that you relate to the most are monsters. And, you know, I don't know Jeff Lindsay. I don't know the producers of the show, but I can say with some certainty that a lot of people that are drawn to like writing and showbiz have like a lot of stuff going on in their brains. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was subconscious. Like, you even like, again, to go back to Bones, the author of Bones was just like, I never intended her to be autistic. I just wrote her a lot like me. But she has said in recent years that she has questioned if she is on the spectrum because of how people reacted to the fictional version of her character. Moreover than that, Emily Deschanel, the woman who plays her, based her mannerisms on her friend with autism. So I think it's less like a serial killer. They would be the psychopaths. I mean, like, the psychopath is not really a great term. I don't really like it. It's not accurate. But I think that, like, whenever we think of, oh, what is it like to not fit in, and that the people that are drawn to making those stories are often people that are struggling with not fitting in themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Hello, is this thing on?
Yeah, it's working perfectly.
All right. Sorry, my mic went a little screwy there. I think also there is a certain amount of emotional catharsis which can only be reached and explored through dark fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I don't know, Dexter is one of those shows for me.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain emotions you really can't explore many other ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, I would just, if we're going to explore it literally, I'll just go to a therapist. You know, if I want to explore these kind of feelings through art, it's probably going to be more through shows like this. But anyway, we have barely watched any of the video. We're not even like in the meat of it. But shall we keep going?
Yes.
Oh. Is that it?
The question is not, can these detectives figure out if
turn on
Dexter is the Bay
subtitles.
Harbor Butcher, but rather, can they figure out if the Bay Harbor Butcher is Dexter? That means we're going to take the inciting incident that kicks off Season 2, the offshore discovery of Dexter's victims before he learned to dump them in the Gulf Stream, as the driving force that will draw in each of the detectives on our list. The way things play out in...
Okay, so the FBI is around. very pointedly. Okay, so we're doing season 2, and have you seen any of season 2?
I've seen half of season 2.
Okay, so you're like in it right now.
Yes.
And Frank Lundy's around, yeah?
Is that the head FBI guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I share with you an interesting theory that I've heard people talk about?
Sure, go ahead.
Frank Lundy knew it was Dexter the whole time.
Like a Columbo situation?
No. He acknowledged that, like Harry, he acknowledged that Dexter was a necessary evil. My last watch through of it, I watched it with that in mind, and there is nothing that contradicts it. And in fact, Lundy takes a special interest in Dexter, as like throughout the season, and he comes back at a certain point, and he likes Dexter, and he like, you know, it's quite possible that he's kind of like not super keen on catching Dexter, but might know that it's him, and also is like, well, he's, because there's a few people that know, you know, you said you don't mind spoilers before we started this. There is a doctor that basically helped Harry make the code. It's a bit of a retcon, but it's fine. It doesn't hurt things too bad, but they add a doctor character in the last season that, you know, is a profiler, I guess, like a psychological profiler, and it turns out that she helped Harry create Dexter, basically. And there were some characters that sort of knew, but were looking the other way. So, like, I guess it's not totally out of the realm of possibility that Lundy could know. And it also seems that the I guess he's not captain after season 1. He's the chief, I think. Matthews might know, but I less think that he knows, and more that like he probably knows more of Dexter's history than he lets on at first. But I don't think he knows that Dexter is killing people. But I wouldn't be surprised if Frank Lundy did know, or like if that was it's an interesting theory.
I mean, there is certainly a vibe that he's picking up on something off of Dexter that everybody else isn't.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised either.
It never confirms it one way or the other. Like, this isn't something that I considered like, it's not revealed. It's just that the way that Lundy interacts with Dexter and the way he talks about the Bay Harbor Butcher, it's like, he doesn't seem totally against the idea, you know? Yeah, Dexter's a good show. I will say that, like, we are going to be going into spoilers, but I think that Dexter is one of and I don't like spoilers for a lot of shows, but Dexter is one of those shows that is not ruined by spoilers, I think. There's like 1 or 2 there, and I don't think we might get into it, but like, you know, it's more interesting. It's a character study, you know, it's 8 seasons of a character study, really. And it's a really good one, I think. And it's all told from the perspective of Dexter. So, I don't know. It's just a fascinating show to watch.
We got off on another tangent.
Yeah, whoopsie.
We need to press play.
Dexter's actual story is he had not 1 but 2 major detectives
There's Lundy.
on him
That's
at
that
the
guy.
same time. FBI Special Investigator Frank Lundy and Sergeant of Homicide James Dokes. And these 2 guys breathing down his neck at the same time was almost too much for Dexter to handle. In fact, it kind of was too much for him to handle. Dexter got out of this one pretty much by dumb luck for the most part, so to be fair to Dexter, we're going to take both Lundy and Dokes out of the equation by replacing them with our other detectives. That means we'll be dealing with Season 2 Dexter, which also
I feel like
probably
taking
happens to be
Dokes
Dexter
out
at
is-
his least vulnerable.
Yeah. But I think they were doing the same thing with Light, and that's what this is based on, is the Death Note videos. They were taking L out of the equation, even though Light never would have escalated the way he did if it wasn't for L. Like, he was content to be an urban legend until L made Kira real. Which, yeah. Yeah, maybe I'm a bit of a pause, Andy. We're all autistic here. You can get off my fucking dick, dude. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, the whole thing with Dexter, with Death Note is that, like, Light was, like, Kira was an urban legend until L made the world realize that he was real. That was one of the major things that he accomplished in that. Like, they were already suspecting where he was and that he was a student, etc. Like, people are like, oh, L would have never known that he was a student if Light hadn't made this mistake. And it's like, no, not really. I actually saw, like, a really good video the other day. It's like the thing that changed when Kira was revealed to be real is that's when Misa realized that he was real and that she could find him. So Elle would have probably eventually caught on to Light as an individual, but Misa would not have been part of the equation, more than likely. And so Light probably would not have gotten caught in the way that he did anyway. But anyway, that's like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
State. Dexter's emotions are still very much underdeveloped at this stage, and he hasn't even had Harrison yet. Even Rita at this point is just barely becoming more than a prop for his cover life, so without children to take care of, a wife to maintain, or enemies with a grudge, Dexter has more maneuverability as a killer than just about any other time in the series aside from the first season. Additionally, the only person who knows Dexter's real secret at this point, Rudy, is dead. And with Deborah still recovering from the trauma Rudy caused her in Season 1, and now with no Frank Lundy around to pull her out of her depression, Deborah is also out of the equation for this investigation. She's still investigating homicides, but she won't be on the task force to hunt the Bay Harbor Butcher like Lundy had assigned her. Season 2 Dexter obviously has some advantages in the detection department, but
I hate power scalers. What if the story was entirely different? What then?
Yeah,
What if the world was made of pudding?
It's not setting itself up to ask any questions, to analyze anything about any of these characters.
Like, what if Dexter was just a completely different guy? What conversation are we? This is why I don't like power scalers. And that's what this
Dexter
is.
Was literally me.
Okay, let's keep going.
he also has some disadvantages. At this point in time, Dexter strictly adheres to the code, and so far he has made 0 mistakes or exceptions in following it. This means he cannot target the investigators on his trail for a kill, like he did LaQuerta, unless Dexter is absolutely certain they meet Harry's code. That said, he's not defenseless. Dexter can and still will kill in self-defense when necessary, but whenever possible, if the investigator doesn't meet the code, Dexter will prioritize diversion and evasion over conflict.
Can I be gay for a
With
second?
the context of the
Sure, go
scenario
ahead.
out of the way, the stage
Michael
is
C.
now
Hall
set
is
to
so
answer
hot.
once and for all, who can
yeah.
stop the Bay Harbor Butcher?
Sorry to be insane, but they really did cast this guy well. If for the affable. Oh boy, here we go.
Vince Masuka has solved more homicides than Dick Gumshoe. Lovable though he may be, Gumshoe is pretty much the epitome of incompetence. He can't even keep a crime scene secure from the defense attorneys that aren't supposed to be there. And beyond that, he does pretty much only whatever the prosecution tells him to do. And even then, half the time, his carelessness and buffoonery winds up blowing up in their face to the detriment of their case. Honestly, buying donuts every morning for the homicide department, like Dexter does every morning, would be enough to unironically make Dexter Gumshoe's favorite person. Gumshoe has a sweet tooth, and he can never act on it. mainly because Edgeworth has effectively reduced his salary to appoint Gumshoe as an indentured slave for the state. So that box of donuts probably costs more than his annual income for the year. This simple kindness would make Dexter a god in Gumshoe's eyes. And
Now this is what I'm talking about. Yay, Dexter makes a friend. Oh, hello, goddammit Malcolm viewers. How we doing? Welcome. We are analyzing. We're not really analyzing. We are pointing and laughing at a power scaler, writing his little fan fictions.
You know, I respect the power scalers who do math at least a little.
But there isn't. This is.
But this is
math.
just writing your little paragraph-long
This
fan
is just
fiction.
a fan fiction. Dude, I wrote a fan fiction. I wrote a quote-unquote fan fiction like this one sentence, like, what if these two characters met, like, earlier today? And it was better than some of this shit. Anyway.
for this reason alone, Gumshoe would never suspect him of any
Should
wrongdoing.
read that out when we get to
Dexter
that
gets away
character.
easily.
Yeah.
Miles Edgeworth. There is no doubting Edgeworth has a
Why the
formidable
fuck would
mind and an
Edgeworth
incredible
be
intellect.
investigating
He's a pro-
Dexter?
I mean, he's a lawyer. Okay.
He's a grand master of mind chess and one hell of an investigator. Edgeworth could be a significant obstacle to Dexter's life to a point I think Edgeworth's investigation and conclusions would mirror Lundy's. But there are a few disadvantages about Edgeworth's personality that, ultimately, would put Dexter just out of his reach. Simply put, Edgeworth has a superiority complex. He may be brilliant, but he doesn't have colleagues. He has subordinates. And if you question his authority, he'll either openly berate you for being an idiot, or he'll pull the strings to dock your salary. For this reason alone, he views people in the police department, like Gumshoe, as underlings or tools, which would firmly put Dexter in his blind spot. Even if Edgeworth used his own forensics expert,
Okay, hold on.
Emma Skye, Dexter is significantly more skilled and experienced in forensics than Emma Skye could.
Okay. Dexter's not a cop.
No.
Dexter's
Yeah, he's not. He's
Dexter has a
just, he's a lab
doctorate.
tech.
I'm pretty sure he has a doctorate. So- No,
he doesn't
Dad.
have a
Yeah, right.
doctorate.
He was in med school. Right. Sorry. He was in med school and he stopped short and started working. Yeah, for the FBI. But he was in med school. Like this is a guy who went to university. Has written academic papers. He's a scientist. So he yeah. Anyway, gonna keep playing.
Ever dream of being. So it wouldn't be hard for Dexter to sabotage the evidence or set someone else up for the fall. After all, Edgeworth has a pretty rich history
Ooh.
of arresting the wrong man.
Thank you for the super chat. Can somebody please draw art of Miles calling Dexter a clown? Also, Phoenix would catch Dexter by accident. Well, I think that they're gonna go. I think that Phoenix is also on this list. So
Dexter gets away. Phoenix Wright and the Wright Anything Agency.
oh my
The original
god.
detective chart only has Phoenix, but I'm including Apollo and Athena because it doesn't really matter which of the three attorneys of the Wright Anything Agency leads the case. It'll play out pretty much the exact same way. Unlike Edgeworth, who has to rely on logic and evidence alone, each of the three attorneys at the Wright Anything Agency have supernatural or super technological bullshit to use that would immediately alert them to Dexter's untruthfulness. Athena has a necklace that detects emotions, of which Dexter
Is this how power scaling works? She wouldn't have that if she was in the world of Dexter. Right?
I guess we're just allowing for Phoenix Wright bullshit when it's convenient to the argument.
Okay. Also, are they... Okay, so I actually have never played Phoenix Wright. Aren't they defense attorneys?
Yes. There's a... I haven't played it either, but I know the general structure. Phoenix Wright usually has some investigation going on because you need a gameplay loop. It-
But still, they're on the defense. They're on defense.
Yeah, so I guess somebody's been framed for the
Be
Dexter's
Dokes,
murders?
I guess. Dokes, perhaps.
I guess Dokes is on trial here?
Even
and
though,
he's just...
yeah.
If Dokes was captured, he would scream from the rooftops that it was Dexter.
Yeah. Anyway.
Dexter has none, immediately alerting Athena to
Oh.
something on you.
Thank you for the super chat page. What if Dexter was my best friend when we vote for lattes and coffee cake? What then, power scalers? Oh, we're gonna get into that later.
Usual. Apollo has a bracelet that tightens when someone is lying, which means after a 5-minute conversation with Dexter, he'd probably have lost circulation in his entire...
That's one of the interesting things about Dexter is that very often he doesn't actually lie. He just omits the truth. Which is interesting. Like some weird
Never
little
omits
fucking
the
elf.
truth or dances around it.
Or makes a joke. It's like, haha, wouldn't it be silly? Or sometimes he's been like, you got me, I'm a cold-blooded killer. And they're like, haha, oh, Dexter.
hand, and Phoenix has a
You got me. I
magic
keep blood
amulet
slides in my
that
air
literally lets him
conditioner.
see someone's lies as actual spiritual manifestations of locks only he can see and solve with evidence. One word from Dexter and Phoenix would immediately get flashbanged by like 20 locks in his vision.
I think
Are you the Bay Harbor Butcher?
those are not
This is a
anachronistic.
major problem for Dexter. He basically won't be able to lie to them at all and get away with it, which is a pretty big deal for a guy that survives by literally lying to everyone in his life on a daily basis. Additionally, the Right Anything Agency plays pretty fast and loose with how they collect evidence. Not unlike Dexter himself, they pick up and examine every little thing in every location they visit, and they have profoundly dumb luck in finding the damning evidence they need to solve their case. I honestly wouldn't put it past Trucy or Maya to just randomly fiddle with Dexter's air conditioner in his apartment and just happen upon the blood slides. Having said all this, you'd
That
think
wouldn't
I'd
be
setting Dexter up
admissible.
for failure, but no. Ultimately, the opposite would be true, and in the worst way possible. The Right Anything Agency may have a knack for seeing through lies and collecting evidence, but they're defense attorneys, not
Exactly. Yeah,
cops.
there we
They
go.
present all their evidence in court, and honestly, Dexter would never allow the investigation to get that far. Deeply alarmed by the Right Anything Agency's ability to see through him, and also deeply annoyed by their nosiness, Dexter would put the Right Anything Agency at the top of his threat list, and deal with it accordingly by framing them for the whole thing. It's important to remember that everyone in the Right Anything Agency has been framed for murder at least once. In Phoenix's case, 3 times, and in Maya's, 5! Wright and his gang are pretty good at defending themselves against impossible odds, but Dexter can plant fingerprints on murder weapons, plant damning evidence, stage crime scenes, and falsify autopsy reports. Even the Right Anything Agency can only do so much against that level of fake evidence. And ultimately, like Dokes, Phoenix Wright gets framed as the Bay Harbor Butcher.
Order of this video is just Phoenix Wright characters. That really does seem like a waste of time.
Yeah. I feel like you could have, yeah. I also don't know if I agree.
Also, I'm seeing Dirty Harry off in the corner, and
What, like, why why would the Right Anything Agency be involved at all?
Yeah, it's
It doesn't make any sense.
You're creating a little fan fiction, but you're not setting up this story in a believable way, Mr. Phantom.
Yeah, yeah. If you're watching this, Mr. Phantom, which I'm sure you are, considering no. I'm sure
Not
he's
Grim, we
not
don't
he's
wanna
not
be
ever
too
gonna
mean.
No, I'm sure he's not gonna see this, but like I feel like what happens with power scalers is they don't want to admit that they're writing fan fiction, and because of that, they don't put any effort into writing a believable story. They just say something. They're like, what if this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened? It's like, okay, but if you're gonna write a fan fiction, like, actually set it up in a believable way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, let me see. Ooh, we've got a lot of ups and downs.
What's the next segment?
I don't recognize that character. Is it Punisher?
Officer Deckard
No.
and Officer
Oh,
K.
this is okay.
Doesn't really
This is
matter if you
Deckard.
pick the original Deckard from the first
From
Blade Runner or
Blade
Officer
Runner, yeah.
K from Blade Runner 2049. Both of them
Okay,
are Blade Runners with equal skills.
I guess Dexter's in the future now?
And an android?
I guess? Philip K.
methodology,
Dick would
so
be
the
so
investigation
disappointed
will
in
play
this
out the
man.
same. This will take a bit of genre bending to make this work, but in a world where somehow all these characters can coexist, imagine Deckard or Kay are briefed on the Bay Harbor butcher killings. The brutality and surgical nature of the murders lead Deckard or Kay to the conclusion only a replicant could be behind the murders, which is what puts them as the lead of the investigation. Important note here, Blade Runners...
That's a big what if. Oh my god.
Also, as somebody who's read and kind of likes the original Old Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, this hurts my brain.
I think that if you're going to do a crossover, then there should be a point. If you have to bend it so much that it breaks and it stops making sense and, like, everything is different and, like, why do it, I guess?
There needs to be either, I term it thematic resonance, or
it's like
an intriguing, ooh.
Thank you for the super chat. The opposite of having a Wattpad face is this. It's like, what if Batman fought the Teletubbies, and it's like, why would he do that? Why would that even happen? You know, like, at some point it's like, sometimes crossovers don't work. Anyway, shall we keep going?
Absolutely.
Aren't exactly investigators so much as they are licensed hitmen that work for the police force. And because replicants aren't considered human, they have pretty much limitless authority in hunting and destroying them. This would seem like pretty bad news for Dexter initially, especially considering Dexter's robotic personality and difficulty with emotion would be ringing Deckard or Kay's alarm bells like crazy.
Autism doesn't exist in the future. Let's go, boys.
All they would do is give Dexter a void conf test and it would be over.
Yeah.
They would move on.
Yeah. Oh, Raccoon Warlock. You're gonna like some of these, I feel. And by like, I mean you're gonna hate.
Putting Dexter in hot water, as he'd likely become a
We are
key
being
figure of
hurt,
suspicion like
Raccoon.
Dexter was for Dokes, but it wouldn't last long. Dexter is Dexter. He is not a replicant, and Dexter doesn't even
Nice
know
voice
replicants
crack.
exist. So from Dexter's perspective, Deckard and Kay are nothing more than killer cops.
So is Dexter... What? Okay, so Dexter is still Dexter, and Dexter's... Okay, I'm confused. Where are we? What's happening? So is Dexter in the future and... But... Okay, so... What's happening? Why wouldn't Dexter know what a replicant is? That's common knowledge in the future. And the... Oh my god.
Is Deckard just a crazy homeless man who thinks he's from the future in this scenario? What?
This is Phantom Savage, by the way. Phantom Savage 2, his second channel, where he is only talked about Dexter power scaling so far. I think Deborah would hunt replicants in this AU. Alright, I'm pressing play again.
Serial killer cops. You know what that means.
Don't worry, Sparrow,
That's
the
right.
Yowie
Deckard and
situationship
Kay
is
meet the
coming.
code.
Yep.
Dexter can easily target them without hesitation. And even with Officer K's replicant strength, replicants are bioengineered humans, not robots, so they can still be tranquilized. So the Blade Runners wind up on Dexter's table. Dexter kills them.
No.
Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher is basically James
Okay,
Dokes
Krim,
on
do I need to explain this one?
I haven't seen Reacher, so yeah.
Okay, so Jack Reacher, he's from a book series of, I guess you'd call them airport dad fiction.
Wonderful. I love
His
airport
whole
dad
thing
fiction.
is being like 6'5", big, strong special ops man. Think Dokes, but white and twice as much.
They're saying that Reacher is basically James Dokes on steroids.
Yeah, he's also not a cop. He's just some guy.
Alright, I'm pressing play. Nope.
Yeah.
Hell, James Dokes and Reacher probably served together in the military. They have the same background and very similar personalities. Except Reacher is about 3 times bigger, stronger, and cares even less about the rules than Dokes does. Whether it be Reacher acting as the investigation lead in his official capacity as a military policeman, or simply as a drifter following up on a string of missing persons in Miami, Reacher will eventually reach the same conclusion as Lundy that the Bay Harbor Butcher is most likely law enforcement. And once he starts poking around Miami Metro personnel, Reacher will immediately clock Dexter's uncanny, creepy vibe just like Dokes does. From there, Reacher's investigation pans out almost exactly.
He also
like
hates
Dokes's.
autistic people.
Beat for beat. He follows him around, surprises Dexter, and interrogates him when he least expects it, breaks into his apartment, probably finds the blood slides, and eventually catches Dexter red-handed. But that's where things completely change from the way the Dokes investigation panned out. I am fully aware
Reacher will
Dexter
just shoot him.
Oh, I do have a question. Would Reacher have a problem with Dexter, though?
I've
That's
only
another-
seen about 3 or 4 episodes of the TV show, but probably.
Because that's
Maybe.
another thing. Because that's another thing is that there are people that Dexter encounters that are like him, that he ends up getting along with at least for a little while. And there are some people that like actually survive, and both of them are like, I guess we both kill people, and all right, that's that. So, like, it doesn't have to end in somebody wins and somebody loses. Just saying. Like I said, I haven't watched Reacher, so I don't know.
Is physically fit, strong, and an expert in jiu-jitsu. But Jack Reacher is a 6'5", 300-pound monster with hand-to-hand combat training and a career full of experience manhandling special forces guys at bar fights. There is no way in hell Dexter's going to be able to overpower Reacher like he does Dokes. And the second Dexter tries, Reacher will probably just snap his neck. Reacher kills Dexter.
What if they what if they what if they did something else? What if they you know?
What if they had weird monologues about each other? Did you ever think of that?
Yeah,
Mr.
what if they
Savage?
what if they monologued at each other? What if Dexter took it from the back? You ever think about that, Mr. Savage? I'm sorry.
No, I think Dexter does cowgirl.
Sorry, I blacked out because it was like he's 6'5" and really strong, and like, what if he just grabbed him and snapped his neck? And I just blacked out for a second. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Rosewaver gets it. What if they kissed? I mean, Dexter has had some interesting situationships with men, but He's straight, you guys. He says so in the first episode. He says, and this is what he says, I have a healthy relationship with men. So whatever that means. Anyway, I'm pressing play. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go what you were saying.
I think we've talked about it before. Dexter is a power bottom.
Yeah.
Press
Yeah.
play before we get stuck on this.
Oh God. Why would they? Okay.
I'm telling you, Scully, it's a Wendigo.
To be so strange and unusual,
Uh.
the case is classified as an X-file, automatically putting Mulder and Scully as leads on the case. To be honest, the real threat for Dexter is Scully, who, as a medical doctor and autopsy specialist, will be able to come to the same exact forensic conclusions as Lundy's investigation. Meanwhile, Mulder will become increasingly convinced the Bay Harbor Butcher is either supernatural or alien, and will waste time chasing leads looking for creatures and swamp people. At which point, he probably stumbles upon a completely unrelated supernatural mystery while Scully does the real work. Or at least until Dexter sabotages the AC unit outside the morgue like he does in the original story. At which point, Scully's medical expertise will no longer be of any real use, and the trail of the Bay Harbor Butcher will have gone cold. Filed away as yet another unexplained and unresolved X-file.
That one, yeah, that one does check out, I think. That makes sense to me.
The Men in Black.
I think Dexter would call Mulder so many slurs in his inner monologue.
Dexter doesn't call anybody slurs in his inner monologue. Dude,
Yeah,
I actually think
I think
the autism to autism riz between Mulder and Dexter would be something to behold.
You want to talk about aliens?
Like take turns info
sure.
dumping.
Here's why that blood pattern doesn't make sense in this alien autopsy video you showed me, Mulder. All right, press play. Why are the Men in Black here?
Yeah, why are the Men in Black here? Why would they?
We just did Mulder and Scully.
That's weird.
This
guy's
feels
missing some organs.
repetitive.
What the fuck? Dexter cuts open an alien on his table and has an existential crisis. When evidence of the alien body is found among the other Bay Harbor Butcher victims, the body is confiscated, evidence destroyed, and the scuba divers who found it are neuralized. The Men in Black, or as the Miami Metro is told,
INS Division 6. Division 6?
takes
We've
over the
upset
Bay Harbor
Raccoon.
Butcher investigation and invites no one from Miami Metro to the task force. They have complete and total authority and effectively lock Miami Metro out of the investigation entirely. With Dexter unable to do so much as track the MIB's progress, let alone sabotage it, Dexter will...
Okay, here's actually, okay, before we go further, no, let's finish this and then I will present my fan fiction that I've come up with
Sure,
instead.
go ahead.
have little choice but to either try and wait it out or just outright flee. And in either case, with the MIB's significant global authority and vastly superior advanced technology, finding Dexter is pretty much a cakewalk. And once they realize he's human and not alien, he gets immediately neuralized to the point he probably becomes a vegetable, and all the evidence to his normal human kills is collected and transferred to the relevant authorities. Dexter gets arrested.
Okay, I'm rewinding that for now, just so that I don't have to look at that and behold it. Okay, here's my little fan fiction for Men in Black. Dexter gets recruited, actually.
Yeah, that tracks. That would have been the fun answer.
Dexter gets recruited, and being exposed to the realization that there's something more out there, it shifts his focus. And it gives him a new purpose, and he no longer has to keep killing because he's because that's kind of the thing with the Men in Black, is that like they're people that don't have a lot of attachments to the real world, and they're very good at investigating, and they have the kind of mind that can think outside of the box. And like, do I think that they would have a problem with the murdery stuff? It's hard to say sometimes with the Men in Black, because what they seem to value most of all is like somebody that would be good at the job, and somebody that could handle the job. So I think that we would get an Agent D out of this. That's just my opinion. And I think that would be really fun. I think Dexter Morgan would make a great Men in Black agent, but that's just me though.
Hey, Agent D, what did you do before you joined? Oh, I was a serial killer. Yeah, I was the Bay Harbor Butcher.
I don't know if he'd say that. Also, they're not allowed to talk about what they did beforehand.
Fair.
But yes, yeah, because a big part of, like, I don't know if it's really gotten into it as early in the series as you are, but a big part of it is like Dexter just kind of hungers for something more than what he has. And given that that's like a consistent theme in the Men in Black, is like those characters get something out of that job, that they always wanted more and they finally get it. I think Dexter would make an excellent agent. But anyway, are you ready for the for the absolute stupidity of the next section?
Yep.
Here we freaking... Is there a bit of lag between us or something?
No. I just...
You just take your time.
This is gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Steve and Blue. Steve and Blue both have the power to create and travel through interdimensional portals at will. And additionally...
Oh my god. Are you gonna make me... do I have to sing that? It doesn't even have the right number of syllables. We just got a serial killer. We just got a serial killer. We just got a serial killer. I wonder who it is.
We just got a letter.
Yeah.
It's from the Zodiac Killer.
I'm gonna get a tension headache from laughing.
They can talk to inanimate objects like normal people. This is
Oh,
both
super chat.
terrifying and very bad news.
I just read it off. That was why I sang that. Did you think
Sorry.
I was doing it for fun?
For Dexter,
I don't
that
know.
means that Steve and Blue both will be impossible for Dexter to track or capture, because at
This
any
is-
moment,
you're
he can
terrible at
jump
power
into a
scaling, my
photo or
dude.
a children's drawing and be wafted off instantaneously to another time and space in the universe where Dexter cannot follow. Additionally, Steve and Blue's ability to talk to objects
I wonder
poses
if part
a
4
major
will
problem,
have Steve in
as
the
any single
universe.
object in his workplace, apartment, boat, or kill room could
This
be a
is very
potential
silly.
witness that can tell Steve and Blue in detail exactly what Dexter has been up to.
See, didn't
Having
I make a joke like this where it was like, what if Batman fought the Teletubbies? Like, this is that.
Yeah, I know this is supposed to be unserious, but come on.
But it's like half joking, like kidding, not kidding. Hee hee hee. Aren't they quirky?
Said that, though finding Dexter and discovering his real identity as the Bay Harbor Butcher will be easy for Stephen Blue, proving it is another thing. Though
I would
Steve
like to
is
point
a
out
very
that
kind
Blue
man.
sets up the mystery every time.
Yeah.
It's literally Blue's paw prints. So this implies that Blue knows and is going to leave the paw prints all over Dexter's stuff.
Which I'm sure he would appreciate. Also, Dexter isn't above killing animals, so
Poor Blue.
poor Blue, yeah. But he would kill Blue to get Steve off the trail.
He is somewhat incompetent.
Columbo is on the list. I don't, probably not Jessica Fletcher, but I think Miss Marple is.
He can't even find the keys in his jacket pocket
So
without
is
the assistance
John
of
Wick.
others.
For
And
some
more
reason.
oftentimes than not, blatantly obvious evidence is completely invisible to him unless Blue explicitly puts their blue paw print on it. The real brains behind the duo
Tactical
is Blue,
they them?
who is a dog,
What the fuck?
which means anything Blue actually finds will have to be translated by Steve to the rest of Miami Metro. And Steve has some, well, credibility problems. Even though Steve can interrogate inanimate objects for information, it is very likely only Steve and Blue can actually hear and take part in these conversations. And this in combination with
God.
public, prolonged conversations with his dog, as well
What are
as
they
his
gonna
lack
do,
of
talk
even
to his
rudimentary
garbage
situational awareness
bags?
and problem solving, Miami Metro will, put simply, think Steve is absolutely insane. It's very unlikely anyone will issue a warrant based on Steve's written testimony
Why isn't
of a
Ace
talking butcher
Ventura
knife
on
that
this
was found
list?
by his hyper-intelligent blue dog. Dexter should be able to lean into this pretty easily, because if the cops already think Steve is crazy, it won't be much of a stretch of their imagination that he could be the Bay Arbor Butcher himself, or at least easily once Dexter plants a couple of blue paw prints at the crime scenes. Unfortunately, Steve and Blue lack both the evidence and the eloquence to defend themselves legally. But don't worry, they can just jump into a picture of Cuba or something, and they'll never be able to catch Steve and Blue, the Bay Harbor Butchers. Shaft.
I think I got brain
I've
damage
never
from
seen
that one.
Shaft.
I gotta go get a drink. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna need something significantly harder than a drink. I will be right back as well, viewers.
Like, this isn't a good video, right? Like this video is bad, right? Fresca time. Like, I don't know what to say. This is, yeah, it's dog water. It's a bad video. Ooh. What are some of the comments we got? Let's see. I think Columbo is next video.
Alright, I'm back. No, he never gets to Columbo.
Yeah, Columbo is in a different video.
No, I've checked all 3 videos. He doesn't get to Columbo.
Oh. Maybe, is he making more?
Maybe these take him like a month to make, apparently.
And they are performing terribly. Like, they are performing worse and worse with every release.
This is not a month of work.
All right.
This is James Dokes. I'm not even kidding, this just is James Dokes. Everything plays out exactly the same as it did in the actual Dexter story.
Well, that's not interesting.
With one key difference.
Why do you think the
when
segment
Shaft
is so
finds
short?
Dexter loading body bags into his boat at the Estrada dock near the end, Shaft just shoots him. Dexter dies. Dirty Harry. Honestly, this is probably just
Repeat
Dexter's
segment.
dad. Assuming neither one of them know that, however, this plays out exactly like Shaft. Everything happens exactly the same as it did in season 2 of the show until the end, at which point Harry blasts Dexter with a hand cannon after saying some cool one-liner. Dexter.
But, like, what, wouldn't Harry approve of Dexter?
Dirty Harry's a bit complicated.
Okay.
Because there are vigilante cops in another Dirty Harry movie.
Mm.
Dexter dies. Nardwar! Dexter is walking from his apartment one day after his morning breakfast when he's suddenly
I don't know what
ambushed
Nardwar
by
is.
Nardwar and his cameraman. Much to Dexter's dismay, Nardwar appears to be clairvoyant. He knows about Lara Moser, Brian Moser, Harry, the code. He knows every name of every bloodslide and the exact order in which they are placed. He remembers kills in intimate detail that over time, Dexter himself has completely forgotten about. Nardwar asks Dexter questions
What is
about things
Nardwar?
Dexter doesn't even know yet. Like Dr. Vogel, Harry's suicide, Vince Masuka's daughter. Nardwar knows everything. Worse yet, despite
Is he like a
Dexter's desperate
reviewer?
and hastened vetting process,
Like, what is
Nardwar
he?
doesn't even remotely begin
I
to
don't
meet the
know.
code. So the only thing Dexter has left is to run for his life, which ultimately does.
I want to draw light Dexter and my gay boy Ganymede, who did nothing wrong kissing. It'll be better than this video, probably. I just had like my brain like focused on like, hey, you know what would be interesting as a crossover, and then I lost it. Fuck. It'll come back to me.
Doesn't matter, because no matter where he goes, Nardwar will always be able to find him. Dexter gets arrested. Frank Castle!
Is he from This Hour is 22 Minutes or something? Frank
was that?
Castle. Nardwar. We're off Frank Castle. Who cares? Who cares?
All right, kids. So this is the reason we're watching this video.
All right. Okay, so I'm just going to let this play because I have a lot of things to say about it, and then we'll talk about it after the section's over. And this is a short section too. What the fuck?
Bay Harbor butcher
Yeah,
killings are large
I've got a
enough
lot
in
to
both
say,
scale
too.
and brutality to garner Frank Castle's attention. So he does some light investigation work, but he doesn't take it very far. Frank probably questions a few of the surviving family members of some of Dexter's victims, as well as tortures and kills some other more criminal associates for the information. But as soon as Frank Castle discovers that the pattern to Dexter's killings are all just murderers and serial killers, Frank Castle just drops the case. Maybe Frank investigates
Okay.
further into the Bay Harbor Butcher's identity, maybe not. But ultimately, it's likely Frank sees Dexter as just taking out the trash, like he does. So it's likely Frank just drops the investigation before he's even on Dexter's radar. Moving on to grimier pastures.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, that was basically what I said. Well, no, it's not. I went a little bit farther than that. Because I think, based on previous times when Dexter, okay, so here's the thing here is that in some instances when we're looking through this video, this guy, it's so contrived. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of these have been very contrived. But for some reason, he's not willing to contrive a situation where Dexter and Frank actually meet, which is the interesting part of this story. So not only is he not doing the interesting part of these two characters meeting, but he's also not doing the what happens if they are actually enemies thing, which I think is often less interesting than like how would they actually play against each other. Because most of the time when people like face off characters, like who would win, Goku or Saitama? I don't think they'd fight.
The fact is, I agree that Frank would not give a shit about Dexter, but he would also not be there for Dexter. Miami is a den of organized crime. The plot would just be Dexter running around looking at the aftermath of Frank.
So yeah, there's a couple things we can do with this. Dexter is consulting on a case investigating Frank, or they're going after the same guy and they run into each other.
Yeah. Would you like to read the little yaoi you wrote with the music.
I don't know.
Come on, it'd be fun.
It wasn't. It's also not as bad as. Well, hold on. I got the music out. No, I don't want. Oh no, I got to be careful. I've got to be careful because copyright striking with Dexter stuff.
Oh right, fuck.
So I'll
monetized.
I'll just. Well, I don't want it to get blocked because it can get blocked too. Okay, so I will read out what I said, but I won't play the music. So this is like monologue from Dexter's perspective. I thought Frank Castle killed indiscriminately, but it appears he has a code. Is he like me? Have I actually found another killer that lives by a strict moral code? Could we be something more than enemies, partners? Can people like us truly form that sort of connection, or are we doomed to be isolated forever? Frank's high profile. He's stronger, faster, and better trained than me. If I can't get him on my table, should I explore an alternative? And I know that that's how it would go, because this is how it has gone multiple times with Miguel, with Lumen, with oh my god, I keep forgetting the same girl that was in Handmaid's Tale. What's her name? That ends up adopting Harrison. God, what's her name?
I do not know.
Anyway. But this has happened multiple times. So I think that the more likely scenario is Dexter would catch Frank and would be targeting Frank and then realize that he's also he's an avenging killer. He's not just killing indiscriminately. Not Elizabeth Moss, the woman who played the one that played Serena. She played a character on Dexter as well. Serena, Handmaid's Tale. Serena with an E. Who is played by Yvonne Stravosky. Oh my god. The Dexter. Hannah McKay. That's what the character's name is. So she was in Dexter first. She is also a killer. That's AI. What the fuck? What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
The AI upscaling is crazy. Anyway, so she is also a killer. And ends up these two fall in love, and Hannah ends up escaping, and Dexter ends up anyway. And he forms a little serial killer family with her and anyway. It ends tragically because that's the way Dexter always ends. But the point is that he doesn't necessarily always go after killers. Sometimes he makes friends with them, and I think they would in this case.
It doesn't have its own local Punisher. Dexter gets away. Mystery Incorporated.
Why is this segment so long? I'm
The
so
Ruby
glad
Rudy.
Sparrow and Anna Marie are here.
Okay, let's go. Dexter would kill
Scooby
Scooby.
and Shaggy want absolutely nothing to do with this. I
Wait,
guess
what?
Fred, Daphne, and Velma have all decided they want to be taken
Scooby
seriously
is
as
going to be a
real investigators
casualty.
that are ready to catch an actual murderer, but no amount of Scooby snacks are going to convince Scooby and Shaggy to follow the gang on a mystery trail that's littered with severed body parts.
The Supernatural crossover episode was better than whatever the shit this is.
Scooby and Shaggy will
I
spend
get
most
it,
of their
Scooby-Doo
entire
is the
time in
Village
Miami
Bicycle
smashing massive amounts of
franchises,
Cubano
but
sandwiches. into their stomachs, and the only time they will meet Dexter is at the donut shop. While the Mystery Gang has a pretty good track record for debunking paranormal cases and the occasional missing persons, their actual sleuthing skills are severely underdeveloped compared to some of the other detectives on this list. And their lack of experience and authority in solving serious crime really starts to show itself when they try tracking.
Oh, send you money to tell you about my gay boy more. Should I make a jokey alignment chart or an actual serious analysis with like one or two detectives in a similar genre asking for my burnout brain? I think that these sort of chart-based videos are garbage. So that's just my opinion. It rarely ever goes well. But anyway.
This fucking idea is a Velma the TV show idea.
It is.
Tracking down such a neat and dangerous monster like Dexter. For starters, none of the Mystery Gang are actual cops or licensed private detectives. They're just independent investigators. So their access to evidence and information about the actual murder investigation is going to be severely limited. And even if, for some reason, Miami Metro Homicide decided to include the Mystery Gang as part of the team investigating the Bay Harbor Butcher, their lack of knowledge and skills isn't going to get them very far. Daphne has enough social and emotional intelligence to maybe recognize something's a little off about Dexter if she bumps into him, but not enough to make him a prime suspect. Velma is book smart, but she's not a forensic scientist, meaning the biggest lead in the Bay Harbor Butcher case still comes from Masuka, who discovers the algae on the rocks. Fred
Okay,
is
Velma would
strong,
think Dexter is the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, she would want to date him. I mean, in the, depending on the version of her, because sometimes she's gay, but, yeah.
Fictional characters don't have a sexuality. We don't care here.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want.
good
That's
at making
true.
overly elaborate traps, but neither of those skill sets or Daphne's karate is really useful unless they can find or surprise the Bay Harbor Butcher. And truthfully, there's just no way for them to know how to track
I think
Dexter's
Fred is getting
movements.
framed.
Investigating a
Also, no, because here's the thing. Here's one of the main issues. The gang are teenagers, and Dexter
Yeah.
doesn't hurt kids. He would go incredibly soft on them, and would probably lay extremely low until they left, especially this early on. And because we're doing season 2 Dexter, so he would probably lay extremely low until they're gone. And then they would move on because they don't stay in one place for that long. They would move on before they ever came close to catching him. Anyway.
A fake monster that's designed to scare people away is one thing, but tracking a real monster that's actively evading capture is quite another. And in this arena of detective work, the Mystery Gang are simply out of their depth. Dexter gets away.
Yeah. But like...
Detective Conan!
I've never seen this.
I watched a couple episodes a long time ago, or I watched some of it. I can't remember if it's a movie or I watched some of it. It's okay. It's yeah.
Overwhelmed
I think
by the
it's like he's like an actual detective that got turned into a little boy, or is he a prodigy? I can't remember exactly.
enormity of the Bay Harbor Butcher case, Miami Metro Homicide seeks outside counsel with their investigation from world-famous private detective Kagoro Mori. The reputation of the world's most famous sleeping detective precedes him, and Dexter is initially very nervous by Kagoro's appointment as lead of the Bay Harbor Butcher case. But after spending about 5 minutes with him, Dexter immediately realizes Kagoro is actually kind of an idiot. So Dexter just keeps a distant eye on him as he goes about his business as usual. Which is really bad for Dexter because, as you know, Kagoro is just the patsy for the real detective, Conan Edogawa, the little boy in Kagoro's care, who's not really a little boy at all. It's kind of weird. This is actually
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay.
catastrophic for Dexter, because due to the unique nature of his childhood trauma, Dexter kind of has a blind spot in softness for children. So while Dexter's eyes are on Kokoro, Conan will seem almost completely invisible to Dexter as he pokes around the station and does the real detective work. Conan has a keen enough mind and high enough deductive reasoning to come to the same conclusions Lundy did about the Bay Harbor Butcher's law enforcement background. And he also probably has enough situational awareness to clock that something
Fun fact,
is
a lot of
slightly
serial
off
killers have a law enforcement background.
Yes.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Dexter's personality and demeanor, so it won't be very long before Conan sets his sights on Dexter as a person of interest. And to make things tremendously worse, Conan, unlike some other detectives on this list, has an incredibly unique opportunity to infiltrate himself into Dexter's life with very little suspicion. As a child, under the care of a very busy and very famous traveling private detective, Conan, as a child, would naturally need friends to play with. And I don't think it would take very much effort on Conan's part to arrange a play date with Astor and Cody, Rita's children. Conan simply has to wait or manufacture an opportunity to catch Dexter and Rita in public. And after some casual introductions and some small talk, it would be very easy for Conan to pull on Rita's heartstrings. I mean, Conan does
Oh,
look
dear.
and sound like a child after all. And Rita is a very empathetic person. All he has to do is put on the lost innocent child act and say that he's been feeling kind of lonely in a strange and foreign city. And from that point onward, Conan will have firmly secured himself a place in close proximity to Dexter's life as Astor and Cody's new playmate. With Conan so close to Rita, he'll have plenty of opportunities to observe and collect evidence on Dexter. Hell, he may even be there at Rita's to witness Dexter knock out Paul on impulse. But even if he isn't, it will only be a matter of time before Conan has some degree of access to Dexter's apartment, where Conan's keen senses will find Dexter's butcher tools and blood slides. Congratulations, Conan!
And again, they would then be inadmissible in court because you can't do that. You need to... If somebody is working for... Yeah. If somebody is working for law enforcement, you can't just, like, trick your way into their house and then be like, look at all this evidence I found. Hey, cops, check this shit out. None of that isn't admissible in court, and because of the way that you exposed it, Dexter would never, ever be charged. His life would probably be ruined. He would be fired, and, like, everybody would know, and he would have no friends left, but you would never be able to use the evidence that was found in his apartment like that if that's one of the things that I don't like about, like, people that are, like, take... like, he'd just trick him and you just find the evidence and then it would be all over. No, it wouldn't, because, like, it would never go to... it would never... even if it went to trial, it wouldn't be admissible in court. Dexter would walk free anyway, and you could never use that evidence again. And it's very possible that he could never be charged for those killings again. So... oopsie. Boggle, did you die?
No, I didn't die. God is not that merciful.
We're almost done. We're almost done.
The case is closed, and Dexter gets arrested. And that,
Arrested?
my dear viewers, is
Arrested.
the end of part 1.
I don't want to watch
Oh,
more of
thank
this.
God.
I don't want to watch more of this. I think we got the picture.
Yeah.
There are more Dexter videos. There is this particular video that I want to watch. This one. I've watched this before. It's been a little while. But the premise of this, I think, is...
I'm just looking at the video under it right now. The hypocrisy of Dexter Morgan's moral code.
You don't say. You don't fucking say. It's almost like it is.
I wonder if it's part of his character.
I wonder if that's the point of the show. Oh, Lord. Okay.
I can't wait.
Dexter. It's easy to forget that this was everyone's favorite.
You can't wait, what?
I can't wait until this is over. I'm gonna curl up in my bed. I'm gonna put on a Western.
Yeah, this was power scaling slop. Yeah, I said it a couple times. This isn't an analysis video. It's a little bit shorter, but I do not agree with the premise.
Favorite show for a while, which is understandable. The series revolved around a great character, and it had an awesome premise. An unassuming forensic technician is secretly a serial killer who kills other serial killers. The character was created by Jeff Lindsay in his book Darkly Dreaming Dexter, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and which the first season followed
Red flag.
closely. But after that first
Kidding.
season, the show's writers were able to do what the Game of Thrones writers never could. They successfully went off book. The second season of Dexter was even better than the first, and the first is what got me and so many other people hooked. The show seemed destined to be a classic, yet despite that
It's
early
not
success,
hard to top
Dexter
the
never
first
quite
or
reached its full
first and
potential.
second book.
To understand why, you need to understand the kind of story that Dexter was telling. You probably noticed that every episode, aside from the very first, started with
Previously on Dexter.
Dexter is a serialization. It tells one long, continuous story. You wouldn't want to watch the episodes of that story in the wrong order, because if you did, the series wouldn't make sense. But not all shows work that way.
It's both. You can kind of watch them out of order. That's why they do the previously on, to get you caught up. But you don't, if you caught because there's usually a contained episode and then there's the overarching episode. A lot of shows are starting to do that at this time.
Episodic. One of my favorite episodic shows is Poirot,
Episodic?
Agatha Christie's iconic detective who's
Episodic?
been portrayed by many,
Episodic.
but none that can hold a candle to the great David Suchet. Unlike Dexter, you can watch Poirot in any order you want. It makes almost no difference because at the end of every episode, the show basically resets. Poirot never changes. He has no reason to. He doesn't have a specific goal that he's trying to achieve, and he doesn't have a dark secret that he's trying to conceal. He's just an oddball detective who's good at solving murders. That's it. Dexter, however, does have a dark secret he's trying to conceal. He doesn't want people to know he's a serial killer. His ongoing struggle to maintain that secret is a big part of what made the show exciting, but it's also where the trouble began. Whoever was in charge of the show did not want Dexter to change. They wanted him to remain the good guy serial killer who never gets caught, all the way up to and even including the very last episode, which absolutely sucked. Yet as terrible.
I will say that is probably one of the flaws of Dexter, sort of, but I think when the show really died, because I think there was some of the later seasons were kind of but the show died when Deborah found out. I think that killed the show.
I've got to ask because one of the things that could have probably alleviated, is there ever a point in the show where Dexter gets mad and breaks the code?
Yes. And it was well done, I would say. That was an interesting point. And then he walked it back. But at that point, it was I've broken the code. And it was am I any different? So I would say that they handled that well.
But then he just decided, I'll just go back to the code now. And they walked it back?
It was after, sort of. It was after Rita died. And at that point, he was kind of freeing himself. He was the code is kind of a security blanket for him. Yeah, Don't This Guy interacts with much detective media. There are detective stories that have bigger ongoing plots, and some of them that are purely episodic, and some of them that are both. Yes. I think there's already a Dexter Funko Pop. Let me see. I think I've seen it. No, not that Dexter. Yeah. There are multiple. This one's custom. But yeah, there already is a Dexter Funko Pop. Anyway. But yeah, it was more, wasn't so much that, like, it's hard to explain. When the code started to break down, I think it's more interesting to frame it as how it started framing, it started framing Dexter's relationship with his urges as a form of recovery, of that, like, him trying to be a good person or trying to live, to straddle that line in between. It's not always going to look like a straight line, that he's gonna have his moments where he messes up, and then that doesn't mean that he shouldn't go back and try again. You know, that's kind of how they handle that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yes, when Deborah died, it really ruined the show, I would say. Because he became so much more selfish, and there were so many more contrived situations that happened, that it just didn't feel like the same show anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, oh my god.
As the ending of Dexter was, the issues the show had were set in motion long before he became a lumberjack. I actually think everything wrong with the show can be traced back to one fateful decision that occurred in season 2, which is arguably the show's best. For the entirety of that season, Dexter has been trailed by Dokes, an excellent character himself played by Eric King.
You give me the fucking creeps, you know that, Dexter?
Yeah, I know.
Dokes always suspected something was off about Dexter and is now convinced he was involved in the ice truck murders of season 1.
I know you're connected to the ice truck killer.
Could you be more vague?
These two have several clashes and close calls along the way, but things come to a head when Dokes catches Dexter red-handed.
Jesus fucking Christ, you're the Bay Harbor Butcher.
I really hate that name.
Now, I'll admit it's kinda ridiculous that Dokes, who's some sort of ex-military specialist, basically trips over himself, allowing Dexter to get his gun, but as stupid as this is, it still sets up an excellent moral dilemma. One of Dexter's defining features is that he lives by a code, one that was taught to him by his adopted father Harry, and that basically boils down to, don't get caught and only kill people who deserve it. This code is what keeps Dexter safe and relatively ethical, but more than that, it's what keeps him him. It's his identity. Dexter kills bad people and he doesn't get caught. Yet with Dokes now locked in this makeshift prison, how can Dexter stick to his code? If he lets Dokes go, Dokes will turn him in, and if he kills Dokes, then he'll have killed someone who didn't deserve it, no matter.
But Dokes does kill people. Like, he is also a killer.
Yeah, that's one of the things Dexter feels about Dokes. That Dokes isn't quite the same as Dexter, but Dokes is still a killer.
And, well, I don't know if it's happened on screen yet, but Dokes has killed people, like, and people he doesn't necessarily have to kill. He's killed people out of vengeance and anger. And
Dokes is an emotional killer.
Mm-hmm. But they both...
Dexter is a serial killer.
Yes. But they both think that there are some people that deserve to die. They just differ on... Well, I don't even know if they differ on who deserves to die. I think it's more that Dexter needs to kill. You know? Yeah, continue playing.
What he chooses, Dexter won't be the same person afterwards. It's hard to overstate just how pivotal this kind of decision is, not just for Dexter, but for any character. Poirot, for instance, faced his own moral dilemma in Murder on the Orient Express, which has been adapted to the screen at least 3 times that I know of. In each version, the shady Mr. Ratchet is found stabbed to death in an isolated train compartment, and Poirot has to figure out who amongst these 12 passengers is guilty. After gathering the clues and interviewing everyone, he realizes they all are. When the legal system failed to convict this child killer, they took justice into their own hands. Now in possession of the truth, Poirot faces his dilemma. Ratchet may have deserved what he got, but this group still committed premeditated murder. Unlike Dexter, Poirot isn't really down with the whole vigilante thing.
It's a higher justice than the rule of law, monsieur.
Then you let God administer it, not you!
Which is why he tells this group that he has every intention of turning them in. Yet when the time comes to tell the authorities, he instead makes it seem like the true culprit is still at large. Whereas the original movie with Albert Finney and the latest version with Kenneth Branagh both played up the comedic angle of Poirot, the show, which unsurprisingly handled the story best, drove home just how wrenching of a decision this was for him. Don't get me wrong, Poirot is a funny character, but first and foremost, he's a deeply moral person who's dedicated his life to justice.
Yeah. I have very little to say about Poirot because I haven't seen it, but I'm remembering what this gets to, and it's just deeply misunderstanding what this moment meant to Dexter and why it was such a big deal. Because he's framing it as a moral dilemma that just got solved for Dexter, when that's not really the point of it.
Thing he pursues even when it's inconvenient. He's convicted his own friends before, and yet this time around he lies to the police, which in effect makes him an accomplice. After doing so, he clutches a rosary and fights back tears. This is what makes moral dilemmas so compelling. No matter what you choose, the choice is going to cost you. The cost for Poirot is he feels like he's betrayed himself. Betrayed God, even. Returning to Dexter, his dilemma is even more difficult. Poirot may have thought what he did was wrong, but he at least believed he was doing it for the right reasons, which were in no way selfish. Dexter, however, knows killing Dokes would be wrong, and that it would be purely selfish, and that it would completely violate his code. Since he doesn't want to do that, he looks for a third option, and he seems to find one when Dokes unwittingly becomes the prime suspect in the FBI's search for the Bay Harbor butcher.
Sergeant James Dokes.
He fits the profile.
Yes. He has a need to dole out personal justice.
Seizing the opportunity, Dexter plants evidence that further implicates Dokes. Now if he lets Dokes go, then Dokes will be blamed for the butcher murders and Dexter won't have violated his code. This is really when Dexter was at its best, when neither Dexter nor us the audience knew how he was going to get out of these dilemmas, or if we should even want him to. However, just when the show was at its most compelling, it made its biggest mistake. Before Dexter could finalize his...
Here's the thing. At this point, Dexter had decided not to frame Dokes and was going to turn himself in. Sorry to spoil. But Dexter ends up arriving at the correct decision of, like, I have to turn myself in. This isn't right. And he goes back and...
plan regarding
this happens.
Dokes, his insane ex-girlfriend Lila showed up, realized what was happening, and killed Dokes herself.
What the fuck are you doing? No! Turn it off!
So why didn't this work from a narrative standpoint? Remember, moral dilemmas are supposed to cost you something, which begs the question, what does this cost Dexter? The answer is nothing. He gets everything he wants. Dokes takes the fall for the...
Okay. So the point of this is not so much that there was a moral dilemma, it's that it feels like to Dexter that no matter what he does, somebody ends up getting hurt. Even when he did decide to do the right thing and turn him and be like, I'm gonna go turn myself in, Dokes got hurt anyway. And this is like constantly reinforced. And this is a question that's brought up in the first episode, that even his good actions aren't really good because they are done by a bad person. This is his interview of himself that, oh, I don't actually love my family. It's just a mask. I'm actually an awful person. And like, even when he's doing all of these good things, internally he's framing them as bad because he has been told his entire life that he is bad. And throughout the show, that constantly gets reinforced that you are a bad person that kills and hurts and corrupts everything around you. And that's like that's rough to feel and hear that constantly. And yet, the thing that makes Dexter so compelling as a character is even though he is a monster that does bad things and everything that he experiences in his life reinforces that he is a bad person who isn't capable of doing good or having good things, he continues to pursue it. That's what makes Dexter interesting. It's not the moral dilemmas. The moral dilemma is kind of a smokescreen for what is really going on in Dexter, I think. Boggle.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm right here. I was letting you talk.
Yeah, thank you. I thought you died. What do you think? Well, again, you're not that far, but
I just agree. I talked about it in DMs, but everything in Dexter so far up to what I've seen has not really been about the mystery. It's about exploring Dexter's inner world.
mm-hmm.
This wasn't about the moral dilemma Dexter faces. This is about what it does to Dexter as a person, that even when he was going to do the right thing, something happened, and somebody who didn't deserve to be hurt was hurt.
Yep. Exactly. And and it's like, what did it cost Dexter? Nothing. Dexter carries this with him for the rest of the series. Whenever shit like this happens, Dexter carries it and it eats him up inside. Dexter really said, I'm a monster while making his kids pancakes. That's exactly, yeah. I mean, that literally happens. Donut box is just like me, empty inside. Like, this fucking guy, it's like, if he'll say shit like, if I was a good person, then offering my coworkers donuts would be good, but I'm not a good person, I'm an evil person, so therefore offering my coworkers donuts is actually evil, and I'm wearing this mask of emptiness, and I'm such a monster. Like, yeah. Dexter has flashbacks of Doak Slater.
If this were any other character in any other show, that would be a comedic amount of self-loathing.
Yeah. Dexter hates himself. And he doesn't even realize it. Because he's just gone through his entire life having Harry tell him, you're a killer and there's nothing I can do to stop that, but we're going to point you in the right direction because the only acceptable way for you to exist is as a weapon, so that at least the evil you're doing is useful. So he loathes himself, but the only way that he can feel like he's worthwhile is if that he uses a weapon. And,
part of the reason Dexter has to... I don't know how to put this. Dexter definitely does struggle with empathy and internal emotion, but there is a large element of it that is just Dexter trying to convince himself that nothing is there, because he will have to confront what he is if he doesn't convince himself that there's nothing there and nothing going on inside.
Yeah.
Sorry, am I just crazy there?
No, that's pretty accurate, because he does eventually he comes up against the doctor that kind of sort of diagnosed him and helped Harry make the code. And she's like, okay, now that I've actually met you and interacted with you face to face, because she only ever heard about Dexter from Harry's perspective, she's like, you're not a psychopath, actually. I thought you were. I thought you were the perfect psychopath, but you're not. You're something else. You, like, she's like, you, wait a minute. You say you actually care about Deborah, and you actually feel guilt and remorse for this. You're not supposed to do that. You are an emotional person. And it's like, it's very clear that, again, like, Dexter was trained to behave this way. What if he had like a normal therapist and his dad wasn't a cop? What kind of person would he be? You know? And again, psychopath, sociopath, those terms hold no real weight or meaning in the real world. They're not actual psychological terms. You know, we might say in the real world that he has antisocial personality disorder, or some sort of like borderline or complex PTSD, or like is on the spectrum. But yeah.
Can you imagine what that doctor is going through? Oh, I just fucked up a kid who needed help.
Yeah. Anyway. And that's the thing. Incredibly, like, I kind of relate as a person who struggles with convincing myself that I'm not a bad person. And that's the thing. I think that, like, people get caught up in the whole serial killer thing, but like, there are, and I've mentioned this in the video that I made last week, link in the description below if you haven't seen it yet, but you know, we've all made mistakes and feel like we've done something that is unforgivable and fucked up and that we can never recover from it. And I think that's why Dexter is so relatable, despite being a serial killer.
Butcher murder.
And it might not necessarily be on that level. It could be something like, I betrayed a friend, or I really let somebody down, or like I said the wrong thing, or, you know. And I think it's especially compelling for those of us that are neurodivergent, because there's also that layer of like feeling like we can't understand the world and the world can't understand us. And I would also say that toxic masculinity comes into play a lot too. Repressing all of your feelings except for that which can be used as a weapon. I don't know. I think it's I think it has a lot of interesting things to say about toxic masculinity. Even if that wasn't the intention.
All right, let's press play. We've been at this for 3 hours.
Since he's dead, he
Oh
can't
my
point
God.
the finger back at Dexter. Since Dexter didn't do the killing himself, he never had to break his code. And since Lila is a violent sociopath, Dexter's able to kill her without violating his code, thus tying off all loose ends.
But yeah,
He
he's
gets
not
to remain the good guy
bringing
serial
up the
killer
fact
who
that
never gets
Dexter
caught, and then
decided
come
to
back the
turn
same
himself
person
in.
at the start of season 3, the same way Poirot comes back the same person at the start of every episode.
He did
But
not
again,
come back the
Dexter
same person.
isn't like Poirot. He's more like Walter White. Breaking Bad has lots of moral dilemmas to choose from, but I'm just going to focus on this one that took place over the first few
Incorrect
episodes.
buzzer
When these
noise.
rival drug dealers showed up to kill Walter and Jesse, Walter used the power of chemistry to fatally
the
poison
connection
them.
between
Except one of
Breaking
them
Bad
didn't
and
die.
Dexter is so fucking superficial here.
Yeah. We're dealing with two very different kinds of men, I think.
With him now locked to a pole in Jesse's garage, Walter faced his dilemma.
You hope I'll make it easy and you just drop dead, don't you? but I won't. So either kill me or let me go.
What does he do with this guy? He's afraid that if he lets him go, the guy will just turn around and kill him. But he
Can
doesn't want to kill
Walter
the guy.
White sell meth to Dexter? Find out on Phantom Savage Part 4.
Himself either. Yeah, he tried to kill him before, but that was in self-defense. Killing him like this would be an execution, which goes against who Walter thinks he is, the same way killing Dokes goes against who Dexter thinks he is. After agonizing over what to do, Walter decides he'll just have to let him go and hope that's the end of it, which he nearly does until he realizes the guy is holding a piece of broken glass that he plans to use as a lethal weapon the moment he's free. So Walter makes his choice. He kills him, and it's brutal. Unlike Poirot, Walter definitely changes for the worst.
I also think that, like, the code is a rationalization for Dexter's irrational feelings. Because I don't think he wanted to kill Dokes, regardless of the code. Dexter, even when he
never wanted to kill Dokes.
No. Even it wasn't like he was like frothing at the mouth to kill him and was holding himself back. He didn't want to kill him. Dexter is somebody that even before he was given the code was driven by a very strong sense of justice. And
the first thing we hear about him killing is a dog that kept barking
and keeping his
while
mother
his
up.
mother was sick and dying.
Yeah, of cancer.
Yeah.
So even then, it was like, I saw a problem and I fixed it. Somebody I cared about was being hurt. Dexter is always... That's one of the interesting sort of eccentricities of the character, is that Dexter is always driven to do what he does by, at least in the first part of Dexter, because it kind of changes later. He's primarily driven by a need to correct what he thinks is wrong or stop somebody innocent from being hurt. He doesn't like seeing innocent people get hurt. It makes him really angry.
And another reason this is really superficial, in my opinion, is that Walter's moral dilemmas are essentially about his ego.
Exactly.
Walter, depending on where you are in Breaking Bad, is the person on Dexter's table.
Yeah. Whereas Dexter's ego has been completely broken down by his father, I would say. I don't even know if he has one. In the
there's a
Freudian...
little bit of haha, they'll never catch me kind of ego.
Yeah, I guess I mean more in the Freudian sense. He has no concept of who he is as a person because he doesn't think he is a person. Because your ego... Hold on, let's take a little...
Ooh, we're going on to Freudian psychology now.
Well, that's where the term ego comes from. And I have problems with Freud. Obviously.
I mean, basically all of his ideas were wrong.
But it's an interesting way to think about it. I think Jungian psychology is a little bit more like with the shadow self and stuff. So your ego is like, this is me. This is who I am. And then your super ego is like your behavioral ideals, your self-observation, your self-estimation, your self-discipline. So this would be Harry's code. And then the id is your impulses. So Dexter's impulses to correct wrongs and to take vengeance upon the world would be his id. So that dark passenger is his id. But I think Dexter can better be broken up by the Jungian, like... it's more Jungian than Freudian, I think. So it's I mean they were colleagues, right? But like the shadow self is like the animal version of you. And then yeah, a persona is who you present to the world, and then like Jung's ego is more of like your self-perception of who you are as a person. And because Dexter doesn't really think he is a person and thinks he's just empty inside, when he says he's empty inside, he means this is what he's talking about. Is his ego is there's nothing there. But anyway. But back to the video. There we go. But yeah. Walter was already a good person. It's just that he felt like he had no worth as a boring person, which made, the meth stuff. Okay, so the other thing about Walter White is that, like, he has lived a life where he's just a normal guy, and he kind of doesn't want to let go of his idea of he's a good father, he's this, he's that. Walter White believes that he's a good person. Dexter does not believe he's a good person. That's the key difference between these two men. Is Walter tries to hold on to that idea of being a good person, a provider, a father figure. Dexter does not carry that delusion. That's why I say he has no ego.
Walter was always a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
And Dexter is fundamentally, throughout the series, constructing himself as a person.
Yeah, and he's a broken person, I would say.
Yes.
Whereas Walter White is very he is self-actualizing, but in doing so, becoming horrible. But that's the thing about white suburbanites, is that they're just kind of like floating through life, and like they don't really have an opportunity to be bad because they never have to be bad. But the moment that things get hard for Walter White, he's like, I guess I'm gonna fucking become a drug dealer and start hurting people. And that's what he does. Instead of like asking for help or
white suburbia could create I think it churns out monsters because it creates people who are taught to take the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. So when things break down, they they tend to go a little wacky.
Where for Dexter, he was born, like, his mother, like, was lower class. Like, they lived in a little shitty, like, shack house growing up. And then he went into the foster system and was adopted by a cop, and was never like under, like, he knew he was adopted. And then from the time like Harry knew something was wrong with him, like, when he was adopted, and always kind of treated him as like, there's something wrong with him, let's keep an eye on him. We can't get a dog for Deborah because he might kill it. And was made, and like, Harry never hid that perception. You know what I mean? Like, he was constantly treated like this fucking, like, ticking time bomb. So, yeah. Anyway.
He was treated like he was a wild animal.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what a well-executed moral dilemma looks like. Nobody swooped in at the last second to save Walter from making...
You know what I think would have been? And I don't know if you know this, Boggle, so again, spoilers. What I think would have been a good twist for, no, you would have to know this because it was revealed in season 1. I think it would have been interesting if it turned out that Dexter and Deborah were half siblings. that Harry was his biological father. I think that would have been an interesting direction to take it.
Yeah, that could have been interesting.
But they don't
Also,
go. They don't go in that direction.
Professor Hope. Last thing about Breaking Bad, then we can press play, I swear. So, in Breaking Bad, the showrunner has stated that the point is Walter was always this person. And he was always spiteful and self-serving.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's hard to explain, but he's always had that massive ego, which, up to the point of his diagnosis, he never really had a reason to act on his worst impulses.
I actually would compare Walter White to a different character, not Dexter at all. I would compare him to Light Yagami. Because it's very similar in that both of them had this sort of arrogant tendency, this ego where they believe they were a good person, but were so arrogant that they could never question their decisions as bad. And because they believe that they were good people, everything they do is good, right? They both have this tendency. They both experienced a breaking point. Walter White with the diagnosis, Light Yagami with not only finding the ability to kill being able to kill someone with a death note, but experimenting with it and realizing that he killed somebody, which is the actual turning point of the character. And then he, from that justifying it, it's like, well, I'm a good guy, so me killing that person must have been good, so I need to kill more people. That was Light's turning point, which I think a lot of people miss, and Walter's turning point is... You go ahead, Boggle.
And by the end of Breaking Bad, Walter says, I did this for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But anyway, yeah. Press play.
Yep.
Making a difficult choice and from paying a price for it. Though Breaking Bad and Poirot were obviously telling very different stories, one critical factor they had in common was they respected their characters enough to not bail them out from making difficult choices, even if it meant we the audience might view them in a darker light. That's why the resolution to Dexter's moral dilemma was so disappointing. Unlike Walter and Poirot, who both paid a heavy price for their decisions, Dexter wasn't even allowed to make one. And as for the decision he was going to make before Lila showed up, to frame Dokes, let him go, and
again,
then
not
stick
what
around to see
happened.
what happens, I refuse to believe he'd actually do that. Think about it. If his plan worked, Dokes would die in prison, and if it didn't, which I find much more likely, Dexter would get caught. He may be good at covering his tracks, but the real reason he's able to get away with killing people for so long is because no one suspects him. But if Dokes told everyone, including the FBI, who the Bay Harbor Butcher really is, Dexter would lose his most valuable...
Yeah. They have this conversation on the show, which is ultimately why Dexter decides, I guess I'm going to turn myself in.
Asset,
so, I don't know why he's literally just lying, because that's not how the story goes, but...
Hide in plain sight.
Yeah,
why would he voluntarily give that away for something that's going to break his code no matter what? Dexter...
What were you going to say, Boggle?
I was just saying, yeah, that's... What he's saying doesn't even really track for Dexter as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep going. Ignore me.
No, we're supposed to be yapping. That's the whole point. It's a reaction. We're not just trying to get through the video. We're also talking about it. So don't worry about yapping. That's the point.
Dexter's not stupid. He must know that if he wants to maintain his code, there's only one way out of this dilemma. He has to run, which he doesn't want to do. That's what's really at stake here. He's caught between the code he lives by and the life and everyone in it that he cherishes. He has to give one up. That's the cost. And though the show wouldn't allow Dexter to make that choice, there's nothing stopping us. So what do you think the real Dexter would do here? The answer is up to you, but as far as I'm concerned, he would have killed Dokes. Yes, Dokes is a great character, and the show's definitely better off with him in it, but there's really no other alternative that works narratively with this dilemma.
This is just not what happened in the show.
Failed, and if Dexter
this is
runs,
also
then the show
taking
is over.
Dexter's
On the
word
other
for
hand,
it that he feels nothing and he is a purely logical actor.
Yeah. And he isn't. That's kind of the point, is that he's trying to convince himself that he is. Again, it's not that he was... He really didn't want to kill Dokes. He didn't want to. And that's why he didn't. Because he doesn't want to. It has very little to do with Harry's code at that time. He's just using it as a security blanket to comfort and rationalize. Because if he has to say, well, the reason that I'm not killing Dokes is because I don't want to. Well, why doesn't he want to? Because, yeah. Anyway. Good to continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
If he killed someone he regarded as a good person for no other reason than to protect himself, he'd have felt terrible, like he betrayed who he really is, and though we the audience would understand his actions, we'd still be appalled. In other words, it would have been great drama, but instead, whoever was in charge of the show was hell-bent on preventing Dexter from doing anything that might turn us the audience against him, even if the alternative made him less interesting, which is exactly what happened. After this cop-out, the quality of the show went way down. Even with John Lithgow's stellar performance as the Trinity Killer, the next 4 seasons all blended together and not in a good way. It wasn't until season 7 when Deborah learned the awful truth and the net surrounding Dexter seriously started to close that
Fuck you. Because I have the opposite. I think that eventually something had to happen to Dokes, and Dexter would have to blame himself for it. And I think him not actually doing it with okay. Killing somebody with your own hands is something very personal and very intimate. And Dexter is comfortable with that. He has killed dozens of people. I think at this point it's over 100. So that's not a problem for Dexter the way it is for Walter. What is a problem is when control is taken away from him. And that's what happened here, is that he knowingly engaged with Lila, who is a terrible, insane person, and he knew that, and he engaged with her anyway, and he had sex with her, and he continued going into a relationship with her, knowing how deranged she was, realized he couldn't actually control her, stopped seeing her, and then she started stalking him, and that led to Dokes dying at Lila's hands. And it was his fault in Dexter's mind, but he had no control over it. So, like, something that's not what's... I get what he's saying, but I just don't agree. Especially because, like, Dexter had decided to not do what he was intending to do. He had decided that he was going to turn himself in because it was the only right thing. It was the only way. It was the only right thing to do because he wants to do the right thing. Anyway.
You know what this is the correct characterization for, though?
What?
The Dexter in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, I don't know, they are two completely different characters in my eyes.
Oh, especially with the whole, like, demon thing.
We aren't going to talk about the demon in his head telling him to kill people. We all know that's stupid.
Yeah, he killed Lila after she killed Dokes. It showed, yeah, that was him taking revenge. He was pissed. Well, it wasn't just that Lila killed Dokes, as she also threatened Cody and Aster. But yeah, he had decided that she was on his table after this. You're pressing play.
the show returned to form.
Are you a serial killer?
It was exciting, it was heartbreaking, and it ended with
It was
another
so
great
contrived,
moral
though.
dilemma. Now under the most pressure he's ever faced, Dexter lured Maria LaGuardia, his longtime boss, into this shipping container where he planned to kill her and make it look like someone else did. He's doing this because Maria, who always thought Dokes was innocent, has finally figured out that Dexter is really the butcher, and she's on the verge of being able to prove it. Similar to Dokes, Maria is forcing Dexter to make an incredibly difficult choice. Does he give up the life he loves and run, or does he give up the code he lives by and kill someone who doesn't deserve it?
LaGuardia's an innocent. She doesn't even begin to meet the code.
It's kind of fitting that the show's 2 best seasons both contain the show's best moral dilemmas, and after season 2 botched its dilemma by having someone else make the choice for Dexter, 5 years later, the show had a chance to redeem itself, to let Dexter decide his own fate and then bear the cost himself. So what did the show do?
Deb.
It made the exact same mistake. I don't get it. Why isn't Dexter allowed to be bad? He's a serial killer. What's really painful...
Again?
You fucking moron!
That's...
He's making a decision each time!
Okay, so his decision here, Deborah found him, and he was like, kill me. He told Deborah to kill him. Moreover, the whole point of that, this scene, again, Dexter doesn't have a problem with killing people. And he has killed people that break the code before at this point. That's not the problem here. The problem here is that he has completely destroyed Deborah. She found out that he was a serial killer, and then helped him cover up. And then at this point, because she's known for like an entire season now, she has gone so insane with this knowledge that she kills LaGuardia. He turned his sister into a murderer. Again, reinforcing that idea that he is constantly corrupting the people around him, even when he's trying to do the right thing. And in this moment, he surrendered himself and said, do what you need to do, kill me, because you're a good person, you're a good cop. That's what good people do. Like, he was trying to get Deborah to, like, yeah, take the shot. I can't, that's who you are as a person, and I accept that. And Deborah shoots LaGuardia instead, because, in case you didn't know, Deborah is in love with Dexter, and there's a lot of weird, complicated shit going on with that. And they're the only family they have left. It's really messed up and weird. I don't think it was handled very well, but the thing is the point is that Deborah has been corrupted by Dexter. That's the whole point, is that that's his fault. This is his fault, but it's indirect, and he doesn't have direct control over her actions. So, again, dude, I feel like you're missing the point here.
Even from the very first season, Dexter has felt like he hurts Deborah in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And in season 2, especially, oh fuck, that was my brother who tried to kill her. This is in some way my fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Yep.
whereas in the book, she finds out in the first book, and in the second, they're just catty about it.
Yeah.
uh,
It takes her a lot longer to realize. She only realizes in the end of the 5th season, I think. Anyway.
about this is there was a good ending here. I know there was. Not just to this season, but to the entire show. The abomination of season 8 never even needed to exist. For instance, what if Dexter decided to run? Maybe he'd reunite with Hannah somehow, and they could live secretly ever after. While I was watching the show, that's honestly what I was hoping for. The immediate issue with that ending is it's not really dark enough. It kinda lets Dexter off the hook. To address that, he could straight up kill Maria, which would cost him whatever morality he has left, and make it clear beyond any doubt that he's no longer a good guy serial killer, he's just a killer. That definitely could have worked, and if Dexter goes full evil, then it sets up a potential showdown between him and Deb. But there is one more option. Even though I think Dexter would have killed Dokes in season 2, it's not guaranteed that he would have killed Maria 5 years later. For one, she doesn't fit the code. For two, unlike Dokes, Maria has already publicly accused Dexter of being the butcher. If she wound up murdered right after this, Dexter would look pretty suspicious. And lastly, over the course of the series, Dexter develops more and more of a conscience.
Somewhere along the line, the fake life that we created as a
Sort
cover
of.
for me to kill became real. It's not fake to me anymore.
As he's preparing to kill Maria, his imaginary father asks him, where does this end?
Where will this end?
And Dexter has no answer. Deep down, he likely knows that if he goes through with this, it will never end. He'll just keep killing whether it...
Okay, so the thing with Dexter in later seasons is that he's more emotional and volatile. So instead of being like, I've gotta kill because that's what I do, it's like, I'm having a bad day, I need to go kill somebody to take the edge off. Like, and that wasn't really a thing in the first season or the second season. And I think that, like, making it so uncontrolled and impulsive really hurt the character. Yes, I feel like he's missing the point that Dexter hurts the people around him, whether intentionally or not, which is why he will never have a quote-unquote happy ending. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. You get it.
Violates his code or not. But what if at the crucial moment, Dexter realized he just couldn't do it? If that happened, he would in effect give himself up, and Maria could simply arrest him.
That's what he tried to do. Again, he tried. Because he did the same thing with the Dokes thing, where he's skipping the point that Dexter realized that the only right thing to do is to turn himself in, and he was trying to get Deborah to take the shot and take him in.
At that point,
I'm really
Dexter
annoyed,
would lose
actually.
everything and everyone that he cares about. It'd be a sad
This
ending
feels
for sure, but
deliberately obtuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
justifiably so. Dexter's story has always been a tragedy. He may have been ridding the world of bad people, but he destroyed a lot of good people along the way, including those he loved. If Dexter had been allowed to choose one of these outcomes, and then accept the consequences of his decision, it would have been a fitting send-off to a great character. But instead, we got what we got. 2 good seasons, 2 mediocre ones, 2 god-awful flaming piles of garbage, and 2 almost great seasons that were both held back by a show that didn't understand moral dilemmas.
No, I can't let you go through with this.
What a coincidence seeing you here.
Who here?
Phantom Savage.
Oh yeah, this.
First thing that comes up. It's calling to us, but we're ignoring it. We are carrying it up the slopes of Mount Doom and casting it into the fire.
I don't know if it's like, do you want to watch another one? There was like a channel that I saw a little bit of.
Sure, why not?
I think it's this one. I think it's this channel.
Boy, this guy likes Dexter.
Yeah, he's a Dexter channel.
Weirdly, frequent upload schedule for these lengths.
Mm-hmm. Suspicious, do you think?
I don't know. It's just for me, 20-minute video. Scroll up so we can see a better look at the frequency. These are 20-minute videos like every 2 days. This is either somebody who either or has a lot of people working for him, just never sleeps, or
AI.
yeah, I just kind of get that feeling this is some kind of
It,
opportunistic channel.
yeah. I
I don't
watched
like
a
making
couple
these
videos.
accusations.
I watched a couple videos a few months ago. There wasn't a lot of videos on the channel. Like, I think, yeah. That looks like it was the most recent one. Yeah. Yeah, I stopped watching, like, yeah, I think 6 months ago I watched a couple of episodes when I was getting back into Dexter. But yeah, it wasn't super interesting, I gotta say.
Dexter killed 69 people. Nice.
Anyway, I don't know if I want to crack these open. I think the one that had caught my attention that I was thinking about, I don't even know if it was this channel. Yeah, it was when it's like, oh, he knew and almost got caught. He knew. Yeah, I think this was the video that I watched that proposed that Special Agent, but I think I've heard it before because I remember hearing this long before, like a couple years ago. So I think he took it from somebody else. But yeah. Yeah, I think maybe not watching this video because yeah, it does look like might be AI, or it's suspicious. Yeah. I also don't like Dexter Resurrection very much because I think it has a similar problem as the later seasons of Dexter, which is just everything feels so contrived. But I do like Original Sin because it's set in the same setting and it's very good, I would say. It's interesting to kind of look at what Dexter was doing when he was younger and offer some different perspectives, but I don't know. I'm liking Original Sin, and I'm glad that it's going to be running. I believe it's going to be running concurrently with Resurrection, where we'll get a season of Original Sin, and we'll get a season of Resurrection for a while. I don't know how long it's going to happen, but yeah.
I'm almost worried they're going to start the Dexter cinematic universe.
Well, that's already a thing, pretty much. There are 4 different series because there's Dexter, and then there's Bloodlines, which was only like 1 or 2 seasons. I think it was actually only 1 season. And then there's Resurrection, which is like a sequel to Bloodlines, and then there's Original Sin, which is a prequel to Dexter. New Blood, yeah, not Bloodlines. New Blood. I didn't like New Blood. Again, I think that like taking Dexter out of Miami kind of ruins the feel of it.
Yeah, but because so much of Dexter's atmosphere is Miami.
Mm-hmm. And I think that he works best when he is a normal guy flying under the radar, and the inner turmoil that he is feeling is a reflection of toxic how people experience toxic masculinity, and you can stay in the same place for a long time and still change a lot as a person. And I think Dexter did that for the first 2 seasons. And I think that, like, I don't know. I haven't really thought about too much about how I would end Dexter, but I think that Dexter would have to die, and that would have to be it. I don't think this is something you can keep going with indefinitely. I think that, like, no, actually, I've decided how I would want it to end. I think I would want him to eventually turn himself in and face the consequences. And I think the moment that I think I'd like a sort of what they did with BoJack Horseman. Obviously, Dexter's much worse than BoJack, but where he realizes that, like, regardless of what he's done in the past, it's always worth it to try to be good. Unfortunately, Florida has a death penalty, so
I think the longer you go with a show like Dexter, the more danger you have or the more you are in danger of the showing become, what if superhero serial killer?
yeah. That's basically what he feels like. It's just it feels...
When is Dexter going to become Batman?
That's basically what happens in Resurrection.
That's stupid.
Yeah. It's very superhero. It's very much shifted into feeling like a superhero origin story, because he finds out that there's this rich guy that hosts a gala where he hosts, like, dinner parties where he gets, like, infamous serial killers to come and, you know, have dinner and tell them about their kills and show them their trophies. And he's got, like, this vault under his mansion where he collects serial killer trophies, and it's very superhero origin story, and I don't like it.
That's
And Dexter's like, I'm gonna go to this dinner party and I'm gonna kill them all. I'll be because, it's very silly. The real evil guy was the rich billionaire, which, I mean, true, but, like, it's it's weird.
That's just not Dexter. It's not
No,
what
it's
Dexter's
not.
about. It's
no. It's supposed to be very personal and intimate. But anyway, I think we're probably not gonna watch these videos. So I think we're gonna wrap it up. Anything you wanted to say?
First of all, I'd like to thank Krim for having me, and I'd like to thank the audience for tolerating me. And if you all would like to subscribe to the Crimson Ender channel, or maybe turn on that bell for notification. And there's also a Patreon, and if you all want to go see that, support my good buddy Krim, and that's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Yeah. I think I've made my feelings about Dexter pretty clear today, even more so than I did in the video that I made. I think that there is some interesting ways to analyze Dexter and also do crossovers with him. I just don't think these people did a very good job of that. Also, for those of you that don't know, I have a Redbubble store now. If you want merch. I'm trying to get it to load, but it's being... Come on! Damn it. No! Hold on. Let's do it this way. So I've got just a couple things right now up there. Here we go. Just a few designs. So if you want anything from it, it's pretty close to at cost of what it is stickers, pins, t-shirts. This is more about like people have been wanting stuff with my art on it for a while. And now you can do that. I'm not super like give me your money, but like if you want something with my little character on it, you can do that now. In various different forms. But it is print to order, just as a heads up, so that'll be the quality that it is. It's just t-shirts and buttons and stuff with art on it. So if you are interested in it, though, you can head over. There's a link in the description, and I'll try to have at least 1 or 2 new designs up every month. And I think other than that, I'm gonna sign off. So I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna do my little Patreon read off, and I think, who do I leave you guys off with? Who is around? Who is gonna take over? Who's still streaming? We've got Nate and ZFG. So we've got like Homestead Live, where ZFG is doing a playthrough of Ocarina of Time randomizer. Let's go ZFG. Save. And thank you to my patrons, Harvey Hummus, Mohammed, Page, Boggle, Fiona, Billy, and Zephyr, Somnium Astra, Space Frog, Easy Walker, Garden, Not, Shy Ravid, Swampling, and Vex Fidel. And thank you to my staff, Mothra, Squeakers, Boggle, and Sparrow. My Patreon is in a link in the description down below. If you would like to join my Discord for as little as $1 a month, or you can support me with a one-time donation over on Ko-Fi. You can also find a link to my social media in the description down below. I will see you guys all on Sunday, where I have a special stream planned, because there's going to be an upcoming Halloween event. So make sure you're subscribed and that you're notified for when that goes live. I will see you guys all next time. Bye-bye.